Hey, welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith. Well, it's a couple of days after Thanksgiving, and we've been getting ready now for Christmas and the Christmas season. Christmas is kind of a big deal for us here, and we view it as an entire season leading up to the day that we celebrate the birth of Christ. But we've been decorating, and I don't know if you can see if I tilt this back. I take care of the outside, and Kelly takes care of the inside, and that's a little bit of it. Maybe when we get closer, for those who are interested, I'll show you a little bit more. But now I've been working too hard all day long, and I'm sitting down to relax with Jim Wyatt's favorite relaxation beverage. Excuse me. And if you've read my books, you know what that is. It is coming, I think. We all know what the big it is. If you have to ask what it is, some catching up is in order there. But I think it is. Now, I've been kind of hesitant to talk too much about the possibilities of what might happen depending on what comes of these election recounts and legal challenges, because I wanted to see how it would play out. But I think I've seen enough now to have an idea. It's going to go one or two ways, as we know. That's the only one or two ways it can go now. And we're going to have situations to deal with, regardless of what happens. What I had said back before the election has come true, that I felt that Trump was going to win the night, or at least should have been declared the winner of the night, on election night, or at least by the next day, and that enough votes would be found in interesting ways to bring it back to declare Biden the winner. And that's exactly what's happened. What I had hoped for but didn't foresee and would not have bet on, because in the past the Republicans have not been the fighters that Trump is. What I didn't foresee were the hardball fights coming back, the challenges in all of the states. Hi, sweetie. Hi. One of my little ones. How they're coming back to challenge and all of the corruption that has been found, and people are still hesitant, I think, too many, to accept that these are that we have evidence of real corruption. I mean, most of you know that, and the depth and the breadth of this corruption is beyond anything that I have ever seen, and I come from a corrupt city. But Tammany Hall never dreamed of anything this big, and it is coming to the fore for everybody to see. Now, Trump said something the other day that I think he's exactly right, and it's kind of what I've worried about, and that he said that he is that the facts and the truth are on his side, but time is not. We know that his legal teams are coming at least two different legal teams, and then we also have the Department of Justice. So we have a multitude of directions that the responses are coming from. We have Giuliani, and then we have the Linwood, Sidney Powell situation, and we have the DOJ, and they're looking into all the voting machines and the software, and then just plain ballot stuffing from like the old days. And they're working hard, and evidence is coming up right and left that is enough to show probable cause and a preponderance of the evidence, I am sure, Now, whether they will be able to get this to court in time and show beyond a reasonable doubt, because those are the three levels of evidentiary, uh, uh, not proof, but the levels that we go after, and that is, probable cause to search or to investigate or to arrest or whatever, and then a preponderance of the evidence in order to indict or bring charges, and then beyond a reasonable doubt to convict. So whether they're going to be able to get this done in time before January the 20th, who knows, or before that, actually, when the electors go and cast their electoral ballots. What can be done there? I'm not an expert on this stuff. Don't want to try to pretend to be, but people much smarter than you or I, or at least I, maybe you're smarter than that, are working hard on this. So what's going to happen? If they bring this back around and declare Trump the winner, we know that this country is going to explode. We know the cities are going to explode. The little riots that we had leading up to this are nothing compared to what we're going to see. It'll be driven by the entire Democrat Party. It'll be driven by the special interest groups. It'll be driven by Antifa. It'll be driven by mayors and Democrat governors and other special interest groups that we all know the names of. And it will explode, and there won't be a place that is safe. Not just the cities. There will be attacks, I believe, directed out into the suburbs and out into the country. That will probably precipitate quite a response. Okay, but let's leave that there for now, for just a second. That's if Trump gets in. Now, if they aren't able to bring this about in time, and Biden wins the day, before I would not have said with much assurance that there would be much of a response from the right, except for a lot of grumbling and videos being made and Twitters and just a lot of that kind of business. But things have changed. And there has been so much evidence out there. Realize I'm not saying proof, because proof is different than evidence. Evidence is compiled in order to try to prove something. So I'm not saying proof at this time, although I think that it has been proven. But that's a legal delineation there. There has been enough evidence for everyone to see now that if Biden is sustained in his bid for the presidency, this country will also explode, but it will explode from the right. And I don't think that would have happened unless all of this evidence had come forth. And evidence comes in two basic types, and people misuse these terms a lot. And that is testimony being one, and physical evidence. Okay, so people will say, "Well, that's just what he said. That's just what somebody said. It's not evidence." Yes, it's evidentiary. Okay, it's testimony, and they apparently have quite a few sworn affidavits that they're bringing to court. And anyway, in our eyes, we know if you followed along enough, you know that the proof is pretty much out there. If you don't, I'm going to stop here for just a second and suggest any of you who don't check in with the Liberty Daily every day, I suggest you do so. Ever since Drudge went to the dark side and Breitbart is now kind of, they're not what they used to be, shall I say, when they're a bit stronger. The Liberty Daily has really taken that mantle of conservative news and aggregation, and just go over and find it on, I think it's thelibertydaily.com, and you'll find news and stories there you don't find other places, and you should be keeping track of that. So I believe that because of the preponderance of the evidence here, that there is enough to make this country explode if it's not given back to Trump. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like? There is no way to know. We know what's going to happen if Trump makes it. We're just going to see what we saw before times 10, times 100. Who knows times how many? But it is just going to be. It'll be unsafe to go pretty much anywhere, and you'd be better be ready to defend yourself. You better be prepped up. You better be prayed up. You better be prepped up, and not have to go into areas that you don't want to go into, and even in the areas that you think are safe right around your home. If you live in a nice neighborhood, if you live in a small town, if you live out in the country, wherever you are, it can come to you, and it can come to you in a hurry, and you'd better be ready to withstand that. But the other, if Biden is sustained, we don't know really what to expect. We know what we hear. We know what people say. We've heard the saber rattling about this will not stand if the election is stolen. It will not stand, and there will be pushback. And some people say exactly how big that pushback is going to be, and it could be the whole way. But then that's talk, and we're going to have to see. I believe a lot of it will be. I believe there's going to be pushback like you can't believe, but we will find out. I put up over on, and I would suggest if you aren't on my Patreon channel, I would suggest that you go over there. I put up a couple of things just today that kind of speak to this. The first is an excellent reading of the Declaration of Independence by Max McLean. Many of you might know him for having done the audio for the Bible. This guy's got a voice that everybody wishes that they had. Of course, it would sound kind of funny if we just talked like that in daily life, but when it comes to reading things like this, his voice makes these things come to life. And he reads the Declaration of Independence in a way that will make you think about it, and you'll want to share it with everyone you know, including your kids. It'll make you really think about the meaning of each one of those parts of the Declaration. One of my ancestors, Arthur Middleton, was a signer of the Declaration, and so I've been interested in this for quite a while. He was from South Carolina, and his son was a governor down there after that. My family, large parts of my family were from South Carolina until after the war of northern aggression, and everything was burned out. So they moved. And I'm going to talk about that in something in the future. There's another one of my youngins scurrying around back here. Anyway, so I put that up over there on Patreon. And another thing that I put up was something from a video from me, and I called it what did I call it? Toys, Tools, and Tactifools. And I talk about the importance of getting serious about this stuff. I see too many people running around consumed with being tactical, consumed with draping the toys all over them, and not really having a firm grasp on the realities that they might face if anything from a self-defense situation to a total collapse comes their way. I see it all around me. I don't go to the gun range very much for reasons that I'll probably explain in another one, and that'll rattle some cages too. But I'm always amused when I do. I'll go out to the range and I see all these guys, and about half of them are overweight, and they shouldn't be. They just shouldn't be. They come in with their guns, they got every piece of equipment in the world. I don't know how to explain it without being unkind, and so I'll just stop there. These boys don't have a clue as to what they would really be up against when it comes down the road to them. You can tell. You can tell by watching them, by listening to them, by the way they move, by the way they act. But they have got all the gear, and I call them gear steers because they look like and I said this over there on Patreon, they might look like a bull from a distance, but you get close enough and there's no bull there. Well, there's some bull there, but it's not the kind of bull they want. There's too many people out here talking a big game. Too many people out here draping themselves with all sorts of equipment and toys and doodads and goo guys, and they don't have the most basic thing, and that is a mindset, an understanding of what can come their way, and a readiness for it. And without those things, you can have everything in the world, and all you're going to be doing when you go there to that spot where the trouble is taking your gear to the guy who's going to take you out. So I want to suggest that. I'm not going to go into that much more here, but I'm going to be talking about that a lot more over on Patreon because that's where I do it. I don't do it here on YouTube. I've just decided I'm not going to talk about that stuff very much here. So go over there, and if you're not, I'll just say that you should. You should because it's coming. It's coming probably pretty soon, and that's where we're going to talk about it. Also, I will say that the commentary over there is excellent. Not that it's not very good here. It is very good here. But the back and forth and the level of intelligent conversation is exceptional over there. So, it is coming. There's not going to be putting this off very much farther down the road. The left is bound and determined to pursue a Marxist, Stalinist agenda and a Marxist revolution. That's what they're at. Anybody who does not yet understand that or accept that, well, think about it more. Or if you think about it more and still don't understand it, I guess you're just not going to because all of these signs are there. Okay, and if they push this and it goes the way that we don't want it to, then we are going to see exactly how strong the temperament is on our side, how strong the resolve is to, I want to say this very carefully, to support and preserve what America was meant to be and is meant to be. This is going to be a time of reckoning. This is going to be a time, like Ronald Reagan said, a time of choosing. And each person is going to have to choose the way that's right for them. And when you choose, you need to be ready to support that choice. The future of our country does depend on it. And if the future of the country depends on it, so does the future of your family. Okay. Now, number one is God, and number two is family. And so I am not one to say, I got a lot of people sneaking back and forth behind me. You guys don't have to sneak around. I said a little bit about fighters and martyrs the other day. I don't suggest martyrdom for people at all. I suggest that you stand up and do what's right, but that you be prepared to do what's right. Think about it. Think about it hard. Immerse yourself, or try to, in visualizing the possibilities of what may come. And do it to the point to where when it does come, it's not a surprise. Start setting your points here right now. Start setting your your points beyond which you won't go. Start deciding your tripwires if you haven't already. You really should have already, but if you haven't, do it now. Watch. Keep yourself up on the news. Don't divorce yourself from the outside world. This time above all times is the time to keep track of what's going on, because if you don't, it will surprise you. It will come around and it'll bite you right in the you know what. Okay, and you don't want that. So up your preps as much as you can. Without driving yourself. I mean, I tell people, don't sacrifice today. Make sure you're making your house payment, your rent payment, pay your utility bills, first. But whatever you've got extra, this is the time to up your preps as much as you can, because it is coming. And what the it is, we don't know which it is going to be, but whichever it is, it's going to be something to deal with, I think. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I won't say how ready I am, but everybody should be ready. So start keeping real close track of what's going on in the world. This is not just a national thing. This is an international thing. I had somebody ask me over, I don't remember whether it was here or on Patreon, if I was aware of the reset. Yes. And what I thought of it, well, that's pretty complicated. It's very frightening. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll say it's concerning. Okay. The idea of this happening can be, it's almost like a dystopian futuristic movie. The kids watched The Terminator the other night, and I mean, that's kind of where it's headed. But I have some things to say about the reset. Maybe I'll do that down the road here, not tonight. So anyway, pay attention to what's going on. Prep up as much as you can. If it gets here, it's going to be big, and it's going to be a threat. It's going to be a threat. And the problem with these types of threats, when it is social unrest, is that they flare and flash quickly at places that you may not be ready for. You'll know the places to stay away from. Gosh, you don't want to work in the city, but they can flare and flash in places you're not ready for. So be ready all the time. So that's it. Well, we're getting ready for Christmas, and I don't let these things affect me, to be honest, beyond, excuse me, beyond, I need another, excuse me. That helps that throat. Beyond just the everyday being ready, it's kind of like when Rush Limbaugh used to say, he said, well, if bad times are coming, if a recession's coming, I'm just not going to participate in it. Okay, that's the way I feel about these things. We're getting ready to enjoy our Christmas, regardless of what happens around us, and you should be too. You should think about, how do I continue to live my life in a way that I am affected in a minimal manner, no matter what happens. That should be your primary goal. As I said in the books, I think I said it in the first one, the reversion. That was that if everything came to an end, I don't want to notice. Now you might say, well, that's very pie in the sky. That's very optimistic. That's very idealistic. No, it's a matter of being prepared. And nobody can guarantee anything, but the more prepared you are, the luckier you tend to be, right? And the difference between the people who are prepared and the ones who are not prepared is great, because history is, if anything, is just a record of people who were prepared overrunning those who were not. You don't want to be unprepared. You want to be the prepared. So if you're not up where you want to be, get up there now. And I'm going to finish my you-know-what and go watch a movie with the kids. But I'm never going to take my eye off what's coming down the road, and neither should you. So remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And if we're going to live well tomorrow, we had better put a little extra oomph in our preparations today. So you all do what you can. Share your thoughts, share your comments down there with people. Let them know, to the extent that you want to, what you're doing or your suggestions, or ask questions, because it's not just me in the comment section. There are other people in there that are pretty darn smart, and they have some answers too, and I look forward to reading those. So you all have a good night, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.